Hey folks, Chris here with MPC Remote Starts. Today I'm going to take this remote start and install it into this 2007 Dodge Ram pickup 3500. It's a diesel key to start. Now this kit's going to cover from 2006 to 2007 Dodge Ram pickups, both either gas or diesel. Today I'm going to show you what's included in this box and what tools you're going to need to complete this install. Let's get started. Okay, so before we show you what's included in the box, we want to point out this label. Now this label has a QR code that you're going to need to scan. That will allow you to download the tip sheet that'll have your instructions to complete your install. Let's go ahead and show you what's inside the box. So this is the MPC Remote Start module. This will be the CHRT5 plug-and-play T-harness. This is the 6-pin Remote Start control harness. We'll also include an MPC panel puller. This is the FlashLink blue module that's going to be used for any crank adjustment needed on this install. Includes zip ties, pin switch connectors, your connectors for your installation, and some extra paperwork. Here are the tools we're going to be using today to complete our remote start installation. We're using our electric drill, a ratchet with a 7mm socket, our crimpers, our strippers, a Phillips screwdriver, the MPC panel puller, electrical tape, zip ties, and a Windows PC computer. Let's get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove this lower dash panel so we can get behind this panel to access the ignition connectors. We're going to take off this Phillips screw here and this Phillips screw here. Okay, there's that one. And there's that one. Let's go ahead and pull the panel out. Start from here. The panel will be able to drop down. That's going to get us to this plate, bottom down here. Plug that connector. There we go. We're going to go ahead and move this metal knee bolster so it gives us access to the cabling we need to get to underneath here. These 4 Phillips screws, we'll just pull them out. There we go. Gives us access to our connectors underneath here. Okay, so to get to the ignition connections we need to get to, we're going to have to remove this lower portion of the shroud. There's a 15 torque screw here for the lever, 15 torques here and here. We'll go ahead and pull this off first. Okay. Last screw is going to be right here. Pulls that right out. That'll allow us access to our connectors right here at the ignition cylinder. Okay, now that we've gotten the shroud off and are able to expose the ignition connectors, this here is the transponder connector. It's connected to the ring. You have to disconnect this. There you go. And we're going to plug this into our CHR5 T-harness. This will go into the T-harness. The T-harness will plug into here. Okay, now that we've gotten this disconnected, we're going to go ahead and plug it into our T-harness. So we'll plug our T-harness in here, and we're going to take the T-harness and plug it into the connector. There we go. That makes our T-harness connection. Now we're going to go to the other side to the ignition connection and make our ignition connections. Okay, so the ignition harness that we need to make our connections to is right here on this side of the ignition cylinder. So simply just push in, unplug it. And we're going to go ahead and make our connections here for ignition, power, ground, and mux wire. On the T-harness 20-pin connector, there's a green with a red trace. We need to cut this wire down close to the bottom of the T-harness because this wire is going to connect to our mux wire here for this connection. All right, so we've gone ahead and completed green with a red trace to our purple mux wire. I went ahead and used a hook and loop connection for this because it's a much thinner wire. For the ignition, which is a purple with a white stripe, and then 12 volts, which is blue with a red stripe, we're going to go ahead and make those connections with T-taps to the 6-pin ignition harness that goes into the Evo 1. So power for the red and blue, and ignition pink to pink and white. The ground is the black with the white in this connector. We're not going to use the ground connection here. We're going to go ahead and use the ground connection that's supplied for us here. This vehicle does not have the green with the white starter wire that would go here in this connector. Since it does not have the starter wire, we'll not be connecting the yellow wire from the 6-pin connector. Also, the orange accessory and the white parking lights will not be used. These 3 wires can be cut loose and will be taped into the connector. So we're going to go ahead and start our connections now. Go ahead and make it nice and tight. We want to make sure that the T-tap gets into the wiring. All right, so we've gone ahead and made our two connections, the power and ignition. We'll go ahead and plug this connector back in there. And we've also made our ground connection here. So our connections are complete. We're ready to start our programming. Okay, to start programming, we'll take the module. You need to press and hold down the program button. While holding down the program button, you're going to plug in the 6-pin connector. The lights are going to flash. We're going to let go on a solid single blue light, like so. Okay. Now you're going to plug in the rest of your connectors. Okay, with that done, take the ignition key, put it into the ignition to the on position. The blue light will go out, come back on flashing. When it's flashing, turn the key off, pull it out, hit the lock button on the factory remote control, and you're going to wait for the blue light to go out. Now it's out, it's programmed. Your CHRT5 T-harness comes with a toggle switch built in. This toggle switch is not used for installation on this vehicle, so we're going to go ahead and cut it away. Now that we've completed our programming, we're going to go ahead and do a quick test start. This vehicle starts with a lock, lock, lock on the factory remote control. Lock, lock, lock. The module's going to start up, the ignitions will power up. This vehicle is a diesel, so it's going to do the wait to start before it cranks the vehicle. So the vehicle has started. We may have noticed a little bit of an overcrank, so we're going to go ahead and take this to the Windows PC and do a crank adjustment. All right, before we take this module to the PC to do the adjustment on the overcrank, make sure when you unplug these connectors that you unplug the small connectors first, unplugging the 6-pin heavy gauge connector last. Now it's ready to take over to the computer. During our test start, we noticed a bit of overcrank. So we went ahead and disconnected the module from the vehicle and brought it over to our Windows PC. On your tip sheet, it will guide you to the FlashLink Manager download. Once you have downloaded and installed it into your computer, use the MPC login and password to get into the FlashLink Manager program. Once you've got into it, you'll go ahead and connect your USB. The flu module will be detected and the FlashLink Manager will load it. We'll go green down here. It's ready to be connected to the module. Plug the black 4-pin connector into the module. That will detect the module. Okay, once you've gotten to this screen here, you're going to go to the Remote Start tab. Select that. It's going to open up the Remote Start features. All right, good. Now we're going to go to number 3, Tactless Sensitivity. Select the drop-down. You'll notice that we're at -2. We're going to go to -3 to adjust our overcrank. Once we selected -3, you're going to go to Save Options. It's going to load that feature into the module. Okay, once it's been completed, you can go ahead and disconnect the module and take it back to the vehicle and test. Okay, we brought the module back to the vehicle after doing the adjustment for the crank. Make sure we plug in the 6-pin connector first, then the rest of your connectors. All right, with everything reconnected, we're going to go ahead and do a test start. Lock, lock, lock. Wait to start for the diesel. And that was perfect, no more overcrank. Module's ready. Now we can go ahead and start buttoning everything up. To remote start the vehicle, you're going to press the lock button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. This will engage the remote start and power the ignitions. This vehicle being a diesel, it has a wait to start setup, so as soon as the glow plugs are ready, it'll start. Okay, vehicle has started. So to do a takeover, you'll press the unlock button, open the door, close the door. Insert the ignition key into the ignition, turn it to the on position, step on the brake pedal. This will disengage the remote start. Now you can put it in gear and drive away.